Okay, good. So, welcome. Thanks for coming. I do want to mention they're coming. They're coming. Moving's bringing them. Have a seat. Have a seat. David. Anyways, that's one of the reasons why I like doing the thing on Facebook because people actually come. They sit down already. I don't have to chase them. These guys here, the live people, have to chase them to sit down. Young people. The young people are hard to get young people in. What's that? I see. Why doesn't it print all the way? But the other ones did. Opposite. We have two, three. We should have one, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. All right. Here. So here you have a full one. One, two, three, four. So this one's a full one. This one's a full. That's the only full one.
So all that came out.
And it stopped.
Stopped in the middle, and I had to even pull it out.
So we had a paper jam. We had a paper jam. Okay. Fine.
Sorry, David. No sheet by you.
We have one sheet, and that's that. I'll have to hit print again as soon as class is done. All right? Good. I do want to mention that those of you who are here live know what we've been going through here in Sfas. Over the weekend, we were sent to our shelters numerous times. How many times did we bring? Just over the last day. Who's counting? Well, we were sent to the shelters quite a few times, and it is possible that the bell will ring in the middle of our class today. And if it does, then David here is going to grab the computer and we're going to go into the shelter with the computer. And we're going to finish the class in the shelter with the computer if that goes on. Yes, there's been a lot of bombs here landing. Thank God they have this thing called the Iron Dome. And if it's heading towards a populated area, then it usually knocks it down in almost all cases. However, you have to be very careful in Israel when you're traveling between populated areas because if you're not in a populated area, they won't even try to shoot it down because it's expensive. It costs a lot of money. Each one of those missiles costs a lot of money, so they just don't shoot them down. So if you're in what we call an open area, an area that is not necessarily populated, you have to be extra careful. As a matter of fact, my son told me that he had a friend that was in the cemetery here in Sfas yesterday, and he said that bombs were going off all over the cemetery, and he literally lied down on the floor. Literally he was being protected by the gravestones because because they just let them fall because it's just too expensive to knock them all down. Anyways, so that's the story there. Um, I do want to say, and I think it's important to begin this class by saying that there is a very powerful spiritual element over here with this particular war. This war is not some physical battle that, there's a couple people that want to kill each other and they just start shooting back and forth. This is a tremendous spiritual battle on biblical proportions. Okay. As a matter of fact, I heard a quote. I don't know 100% if it's accurate, but I've heard a quote that um, Nasrallah actually compared himself to Roman conquerors. He said, just like the Romans conquered Israel, we'll conquer Israel, which means the attackers of Israel themselves are actually portraying themselves and selling themselves as people who are connected with the biblical narrative, right? With the narrative of the nation of Israel, right? So those of you who think that this is a land dispute, this is a confusion, it's not. We are going in Israel, we're having a biblical battle, a battle for truth, a battle for God. And part of that battle is you sitting here and studying Torah with us. So wherever you are in the world, if you are here participating in this class, you should know that you are part of this battle. The very fact that you are considering godliness, that you are spending time on developing your knowledge of the nation of Israel and how it operates and its connection to godliness, this itself is making you and helping you be part of this very battle. All right, so thank you for coming for that very reason. Okay, what's this two screens that I have here? There's two different screens here.
So that you can see all the chats.
So this is a chat, but what about here?
But you'll see some here and you'll see some here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Now, okay, just I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Just want to remind you guys that this is not just a one-way street. This is an interactive program. If you want to participate in this program, all you have to do is you put a comment on the video. If you put a comment on the video, then we will see it in real time. Sometimes there's a bit of delay, a couple seconds. And once we do that, you're on and we can answer your question directly. All right? Good to go? Let's move on. All right? Now, as we're talking about the different type of shofar blowings that they blew both in the temple on Rosh Hashanah, on the new year, which is coming up exactly 1 week from Wednesday night, which means that 1 week from Thursday is going to be Rosh Hashanah. If you are Jewish and you're not sure exactly where you are going to go for Rosh Hashanah services, all you have to do is put in the comments to let me know that you would like to find your closest synagogue, and we will help you. We have a system. We can type in your location and we can tell you what the closest synagogue is. Of course, this is if you're Jewish and you want to participate in the high holiday program near you. Okay, wherever you are in the world, we have places all over the world to help you. Okay, now we did mention that there were 2 times that the Jews blew the shofar. There was during Rosh Hashanah and also during fast days. During fast days today, in the Jewish world, I don't really see this as something prevalent that we blow the shofar, but there was times that they did, especially when the fast day was praying to God to prevent a calamity from coming to the world, right? So very often, if there was a drought, if there was a plague, if there was some type of issue, problem happening, they would fast. The Jews would fast, and when they would fast, then they would blow the shofar or some type of a horn, right? Now, the end of Yom Kippur, what about that? So we do blow the shofar at the end of Yom Kippur, correct. Correct, 100%. So we are holding, for those of you who want to follow in the actual Talmud, we are holding in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, Tractate Rosh Hashanah, page 27a.
Wow.
All right? And we're beginning with the blowing of the horn. Blowing the horn on a fast day. I don't need to hear myself. I know how I sound. Thank you. Okay. We said that during a fast day, they would blow the horn. They would blow a ram's horn that was bent, which, as we explained in a previous class, shows that a person is bent. They're broken. They're realizing that they're in need for correction. Okay, now on the fast day they would blow these horns, and it says that they were coated in silver. Okay, the Rosh Hashanah horn we said was they said was gold, right? The Rosh Hashanah we said was coated with gold. The one that they blew in fast day was coated in silver, and our Gemara is actually going to discuss why exactly was one gold and one was silver. All right, so that's the beginning of our Gemara. Maishna Hossam. The Gemara says, what is the difference over there, the Zahav, that over there it was done in gold, which means what is the difference? Why on Rosh Hashanah they made it with gold? Umaishna Hocha, and what's the difference over here by a fast day that they didn't do it of gold, they actually made it of silver? Why one was gold and one was silver? We're talking about the shofars in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. One was coated in gold and one was coated in silver. Why? Why on earth would you coat one in gold and one in silver? Okay? E-boyis ema. Now we have an important keyword called e-boyis ema. E-boyis ema, the keyword e-boyis ema is a very important keyword. It literally means if you want to say. When we say this keyword, if you want to say, we mean we're gonna give possible answers to the question. We're going to give possible resolutions, and very often we're going to give numerous resolutions, and we're not going to tell you which one is more accurate than the other. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to give you a few different reasons why on a fast day they used a silver a shofar coated in silver, and why on Rosh Hashanah they used a shofar coated in gold. Okay, that's that. Okay, so we're going to e-bois ema, if you want to say, which means here's possible answer number one, kol kinufia de kesef hu. Every gathering is done with silver. What does it mean a gathering is done in silver? We're going to bring a quote. The quote is from the Torah. The Torah is quoted in Bamidbar Yud Beis, which is, in those of you who are more familiar with the English terminology, it is in Numbers chapter 10, verse number 2. It says, "You shall make these horns out of silver in order to call together the congregation." So therefore, whenever there's a concept of calling together the congregation, there's a concept of using silver specifically because the Torah tells us to use silver horns to gather the congregation. Why is this relevant here? The answer is that the whole purpose for blowing the shofar on fast days is to get everybody together to pray to God, right? It's not that the shofar itself represents something, it's that the shofar is there to gather the people, to bring the people together, and perhaps even to set the tone, to set the vibe. But the point is, it's about gathering people. Now, whenever the purpose of blowing the horn is about gathering people, it should be made of silver because that's what the Torah says. Now, it's very important to understand. A lot of people ask me, what is the Talmud? The Talmud essentially is um, a deep analysis on what the Torah actually wants us to do. It is the deep analysis of biblical teachings. That's what it's all about. Okay, nothing more, nothing less. And therefore, if the Torah tells us when you're gathering people, you should make silver horns, therefore it shows that silver is symbolic of the gathering of people. Okay? And even though the Jews in the desert could have made it out of gold, they had plenty of gold. There was no lack of gold in the desert. They could have used gold. The fact that they didn't use gold is why. Why didn't they use gold? Because they were told to use silver by God. Therefore, even though gold might be worth more, it might be more valuable, it might make more sense to use gold, maybe, right? It could be. However, God says no, silver, for this purpose, silver is more important. So that is the first reason, the first answer why we should be using silver when we're doing a fast day and not on Rosh Hashanah. Yeah? The Ibois Aim, we're going to come with a second reason. A second reason you might say as follows: that the Torah actually worried about the money of Israel, right? We actually care about spending too much money. The Torah itself knew that the Jewish people, if they would have to buy a golden horn, it would cost more money. And the Torah is like, why spend so much money? So God himself wants the Jewish people to be frugal. Could you believe that? It's very interesting. God himself is like, listen, don't spend more than necessary. Yes, you should spend when it is necessary. Yes, there is a concept of paying money to buy silver and to spend and to invest when it is necessary, but not more than necessary. Whatever is necessary, we need, and everything else, forget about it. We don't need it. Yeah. 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 Right. Right. I understand. First of all, every single person gave what they want. However, there was a certain limited amount of resources that the temple had. And therefore, God is like, listen, if it's not necessary, it's not necessary. And therefore, he said we should use silver for the trumpets. Again, you have to remember the Gemara is not saying this as fact. The Gemara is saying this as possible fact. We said it as Ibois Ema, if you want to say. These are all legitimate reasons, and we're not giving you one reason, we're giving you numerous reasons. Okay? I just want to mention to those people online, thank God, Baruch Hashem, a couple of them arrived, and we are on a few different platforms. But as I said in the past, this is not a one-way class. This is actually an interactive class. If you want to participate and say a question, a comment, etc., all you have to do is put it in the comments, and we see it live, real time. Okay? As a matter of fact, we've answered many questions. Those of you who were here before, we've answered people's questions, and we could answer your question. All you got to do is put it in the comments. I will remind you that during the actual main part of the class, where we are learning a particular piece of the Talmud, during that part of the class, if you're going to ask a question in a comment, it has to be kind of relevant to the class. If you're not sure, you don't understand something I said, or if you have a comment that to add to what we are saying, then we will entertain those comments during class. However, if you have a question that's not relevant to the class, all you got to do is wait till the end of the main part, and I'll mention that we've finished the main part of the class. Then we open to question and answers, and then you could ask whatever you want, even if it's not relevant to the class, right? You could ask what color is the bottom of my shoes. You could ask that. I might not entertain it, but you could if you want. Okay. Good. Okay, so we have two answers. First answer is that we have a biblical reference to tell you that when gathering Jews, you should use silver. That's reason number one. Number two is that God didn't want us to spend so much money, so therefore he said, why buy gold if you could buy silver? Right? That's number two. And I think we have a number three as well. Oh, so the Gemara, when the Gemara says God cared about Jews spending too much money, we actually challenge this because we say Hasam nami navad de kesef. Then why don't we make Rosh Hashanah's shofar also coated in silver? Why are we coating the Rosh Hashanah with gold? If God cared so much about the Jews spending too much money, he should have made it all silver. Why some gold and some silver? You ever thought about that? Good question. Can I know how to? So he says, Afilu hachi kavod yomtiv adif. He says, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, because it is a holiday, we'd prefer spending more money on the holiday than to spend less money. Whereas the fast day, it's like, okay, it's a fast day. We're broken. It's just, we're not excited, right? And I want to tell you a very important lesson that we learned from here. You ready? A very important lesson we learned from here is that people spend money when they're happy. It's true. I could tell you, as a salesperson, somebody who was in sales in the past, the best way to sell something is to get the guy joking, to get the guy happy. When people are happy, they spend money. They're happy to spend money, and they throw it out there, right? You should see in the yeshiva, we have these appeals on Simchas Torah when everybody's drunk and everybody's jumping around, singing and dancing. People promise their life away. They're willing to, they pledge tons of money, and many of them actually pay up, right? They pay a lot of money because when you're happy, you're very giving. When you're broken, it's very hard. Take a guy that's sad and depressed. Try to sell him something. Nah, he'll find every excuse why not to buy it, right? Every excuse in the book why not to buy it, he'll come up with. Yeah. Good. Where are we? So here too, because on Rosh Hashanah there's a joy, we're having a simcha, we're having a holiday. Therefore, we're happy to use gold. And God says, okay, if you're happy, spend. Go use your gold. But when you're in a fast day and you're broken and you're praying to God saying, God, come on, don't wipe us out so much. You've done this a couple of times. Don't do it again, right? Then, we're going to use silver. God is like, listen, when you're not so happy, you don't really want to spend, just buy the silver. It'll be okay. Yes? Good. Where are we? Now we're going to go to something else. Okay, by the way, you'll notice that in this week's portion of Gemara, this quota that we're going to learn in the Gemara is actually very few Rashis. It's almost all Gemara, straight Gemara. And the reason for this is because it's not so complicated. It's pretty straightforward, but it's interesting information. All right, let's continue. Rav Papa bar Shmuel. Rav Papa, the son of Shmuel Savar, he Savar lemevad uvda kimasnisin. He considered doing like the Mishnah, which means he considered making a ritual in public similar to the Mishnah. If you remember, the Mishnah said that on Rosh Hashanah you had two horns on either side and the shofar in the center. And on a fast day, you would have shofar on either end and the horns in the center. Rav Papa says, okay, so I'm going to have two horns on either side and I'm going to have the shofar in the center. That's what he was going to do. He was considering doing this. Suffer is he considered doing this. Yeah. Omerle Rava. Rava tells Rav Papa Bar Shmuel, he tells him as follows. Loy Amru Ela B'Mikdash. This is only done in the Holy Temple, which means the whole ritual that we spoke about last week, where you had horns on either side and the shofar in the center, this was reserved for the temple, right? And that's very important. In the there's many rituals of Judaism that are limited till today. They're limited to the temple, and until we build the temple in Jerusalem, we cannot do these rituals, these Jewish rituals, until we have the temple. As a matter of fact, many people ask me, why don't the Jews pronounce the Tetragrammaton as it is spelled? Right? Many other people try to. He says it's prohibited. Yeah, why is it prohibited?
You can't say Hashem's name in vain.
Yeah, well, we could say we're saying a blessing. So why can't we say God's name? Why can't we use the Tetragrammaton?
Oh, that I don't know.
So the answer is that we're only allowed to use it in the temple.
Oh, yeah.
When the Beis Hamikdash is built, when the Holy Temple in Jerusalem is rebuilt, which is Bezrat Hashem happening any moment. Any moment we're going to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. At that point, we're going to use the Tetragrammaton as it's spelled.
Say Shem Havaya.
Yeah. Yeah, the Kohanim are going to bless the nation using instead of Sem, we now say Yevarechacha Hashem v'Yishmerecha. They're going to say Yevarechacha, and they're going to use the Tetragrammaton as it's spelled.
Whoa.
They're going to use that name in the temple with I'm not sure what the Nikudot are, because by the way, the Tetragrammaton has numerous vowels.
Right.
A lot of people try to guess vowels. There's certain movements today that they have certain vowels that they've put to those four letters, right? However, you have
has different vowels and different blessings.
Oh, because you have a Kabbalistic siddur, and the reason is that Kabbalistically, when you use a Tetragrammaton, if you put different vowels, it actually means different things. Yeah. It all is connecting with the name of God. It's all has to do with godliness, but it's referencing different spiritual levels, right? When you use a Tetragrammaton, yeah. As a matter of fact, we're really a Talmudic class here, but we can go a little bit in Kabbalistic matter. You think so?
Yeah.
You think you can handle some Kabbalah today?
Be a good clip.
Right? The Tetragrammaton is actually, it's not referring to one particular thing. It's actually referring to everything together as well as separately, which means the Tetragrammaton is kind of like a base code for all of creation, right? I know in computers, you have the base code of computers is what? What's it called? Do you know what it's called? Anybody knows computers? What's base code of computers? Called binary.
Binary.
Ever heard of binary code?
Yeah, binary.
Binary code is like the base code. Every single program is built on binary code, right? The same thing, everything in this universe is created on the code of the Tetragrammaton, which would mean that the entire universe from beginning to the end is represented by the Tetragrammaton, but each individual part of the universe is also represented by the Tetragrammaton, which means if I take this computer, somehow, if I knew Kabbalistically, somehow this computer is the Tetragrammaton organized in a particular way, right? And so is the table, and so is this building, and so is you, right? As a matter of fact, I'll tell you something spooky. If you take the Tetragrammaton the way that it's spelled in Hebrew, right? Take the letters as it's spelled in Hebrew and put them one on top of the other, and it actually makes a human. It's right? Yeah, it's literally like the picture of a person. The Yud is the head, right? You have the head is the Yud. The Hey under it is like the hands. Yeah. The Vav is the body. Yeah. And then the Hey at the bottom is the feet. Yeah. Yeah. So it's literally a picture of a person, because that is the Tetragrammaton is a crazy concept that it's literally like the base code for all reality. Yeah. It's God's, the way that the infinite God came into our finite reality. That's the way it is. Okay, sounds crazy, but it's true. Yes.
And
yeah.
And the fine in the hand.
The what?
In the hand of the process of the world, like
yeah.
Hashem is fine,
yeah.
Fine in the הנגשמי,
yeah.
הרבה יותר לרוח. למה? כי אם אתה לוקח...
What do you mean? He's more in the Gashmi?
Yeah, השם more in the...
So,
בגלל
again,
יש לך-
yeah.
יש לך עולם, יש לך עולם.
Right.
וכל ה...
So as I said, God is found everywhere. God is found everywhere. God is found everywhere the same. He's not found in some ways like this and some ways like this. Everywhere he's found equally because infinity by definition is everywhere equally. There's not more or less. The question is revealed or not revealed, gilui or not gilui. But everywhere the word shechina, because the word shechina, do you know what the word shechina means? The word shechina comes from the word shochen, which is resting, right? Which is not talking about the infinite God. It's talking about the way the infinite God came into this world. The way where he's resting, which means where he's more revealed, where it's more evident. Okay? Okay, but that's not what we're learning now. Right now we learn Gemara. Huh? The Rebbe said what? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So he says the body will have some significance greater than the soul when the Messianic era comes. Correct. Yeah. 100%. But that has to do, that doesn't have to do with the infinite. It has to do with the way the infinite comes into this reality. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Here, let Meir in. Meir wants to sit down. Come. All right. Yes. Anyways, I would like to finish a small part of the Gemara, and then we're going to go to questions and answers. As I mentioned, this is an interactive program live on the internet, and anybody is welcome to interact with us by putting a comment, a question, whatever you want, and we will deal with it Bezrat Hashem. But I want to finish this piece of Gemara, and then we're going to go to your questions. Okay, where are we? Right? So we said that only in the temple would they have the ritual where they blew the horns and the shofar, meaning the metal horns together with the shofars. Outside of the temple, we only blew the shofar. We did not blow the horns as well. Tanya Nami Hochi, we bring a source, a proof to this from a baraisa. A baraisa is a Tanaic era teaching that exists, right? What are we referring to? Bamikdash. It says only in the Mikdash. Aval begvulin, in Gevulin, in the other places outside of the Beis Hamikdash, Mokem sheyesh chatzotzis ein shofar, in a place that there is the horns. There is no shofar. Mokem sheyesh shofar im chatzotzis. If there is no horns, if there is horns, there's no shofar. If there's ram's horns, there's no shofar. And if there's no shofar, or if there is a shofar, there's no metal horns. Again, there were metal horns and there was shofars. In the temple, they would blow both of them simultaneously. Outside of the temple, it was one or the other, not both. Okay? For some reason, it sounds from the Gemara that there were times that people blew metal horns in the Jewish people. However, I don't really see here. I don't see today any community that actually uses metal horns as part of a Jewish ritual service. Although the Gemara seems to indicate that maybe there was at some points in time there may have been that. All right, wouldn't that be exciting, Mayor? Start blowing these big metal horns.
What, golden horns?
What?
Golden horns?
Definitely sound.
Silver. It would be silver.
I think I've heard silver. I wonder what I forget.
What's that?
I wonder what they'd sound like. Silver orange. Probably really loud.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like a trumpet. It's like a trumpet. It's just a little different.
Yeah.
What's that?
You can't see this comment.
Why?
Because this guy always writes the same thing over and over.
Oh, so you don't see it? What does he say? Can I know how to, Mr. Brooks Kadir? I
He's
don't
talking
know.
about his own God.
Huh?
He's talking about his own God. Hashem is Allah. Saying.
I don't know what he's talking about. Anyways. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of times that the Jewish people used to blow the horns. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What? It's a mitzvah to blow what? Yeah, to blow the horn.
Yes.
Right, you're saying the metal horns. Right? Maybe Israel should do that. We should buy these metal horns, and before we go to war, we should blow the chatzot. It'll give a lot of morale to the soldiers, blowing these silver horns. Yes.
No, it's 11 and
Yeah.
Rabbi Tzaddik, the Rosh
The who? Yeah.
Tzaddik,
Yeah.
very special man that lived here, was one of the Shurim
Yeah.
that went the Chabad tank all the way to
Beirut. Yes, he went into Beirut.
And he printed a Tanya over there.
Yes. There's a Tanya printed in Beirut. If you're not sure what a Tanya is, it's one of the most awesome spiritual books that was written in the last few centuries. And it was written, it's actually considered the founding book of Chabad's Hasidism, right? Welcome, Louise from Sydney, Australia. Every day she tells me good morning. And you probably remember her name here already. But, could you believe this, Mayor? People are sitting in Sydney, they want to come to this class, right? Sydney, Australia. See right here. All right, let's continue. Let's finish off over here. Rabbi Chalaftia and Tzipori had the same thing, is that he would do one or the other. Rabbi Chanina ben Teradin b'sichoni uchshabot davar eitzach hachamim omri loy hayu nogim kein elo b'shari mizrach b'harabayis b'lvad. Yeah, and so they used to do the same. They did the same thing. They would try to blow the horns, I believe, together with the shofar. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, there was these two people, one in Sipori and one in what was the other place? Sichni. They tried to blow both. I have no idea. What's that? Where's Sichni? There's still a place called Sichni. Where is it?
The Arab captured the
Where?
time.
Where is it?
They got low.
Oh, Hashem. Anyways, can I know how to?
Yeah, yeah. So
Basically, yeah. In these places, they tried to blow both the horns and the shofars, and the rabbi said, "No, no, no, no. We only do this by the temple. We have to stop doing this. We only do this by the temple." Yeah. And the reason for this is that we brought a verse in Tehillim in Psalms 98, verse 6, that says as follows. That says, with the chatzroitzrois and the sound of the shofar, which means the horns and the sounds of the shofar should be blown before God. Now, only in the temple is it called before God. Any other place, it's not considered before God. I mean, you might be praying to God, but you're not praying in front of God. In front of God is only in reference to the temple, and that's why you only do it there. Okay? That's it. So that is the first part of the Gemara for this week, which we're going to end with that for now, and then we're going to go to questions and answers. Okay? I'm going to briefly give a summary of what we spoke about, and then anybody online could ask a question. Again, once we finish the class, which is now pretty much, you can ask any question. This happens every day. People have asked me on Facebook, how come you always ask questions and you don't give answers? I say we have a time for you to ask. On Facebook, I ask you questions. On my class, you could ask me questions. So this is a time where you could ask me any question that is on your head, bothering you, whether it is about anything that you think I can answer. I'll try to answer my best. All right? Good. So just to quick summarize what we're saying here is that first we spoke about why on fast days the shofar was coated in silver and not gold. We said because perhaps God wanted to save us some money, or perhaps the concept of gathering people have to do with silver and not with gold. Those are the two reasons we gave. We also said that that blowing the horn and the shofar together was only done in the temple. There were some people that tried to do it outside the temple, and they were all told off by the other rabbis. This is not what we should be doing, and that's that. All right? Good.
All right.
That's a summary. We didn't learn a lot of deep information today, but very interesting information. And yes. Now we're going to go to questions. Anybody that has any question, and Mayor, I know you came to class, you probably have full of questions. So this is the time you can ask any question you want. At the end of the class, we have, say, 10, 15 minutes where you could ask any question you want. Anybody online, all you have to do is type your question into the comments, and we will get it. Try to do it sooner rather than later. There's a couple second delay, 5-10 seconds. And type it in. And the earlier your question goes in, the greater the chance it has to answer. Because if we get too bogged up, We don't always answer all the questions, but the first questions we usually answer. The first few questions we usually answer. Please put in your questions, and we'll get to that. Any questions from the live class? Yes. Yeah. It says in Perek 80, 81 in Psalms. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
שאו זמרה ותנו תוף, כינור נעים עם נבל, תיקו בחודש וחודש שופר. Why?
Yeah.
דוד המלך not say, תיקו בראש השנה in the שופר. Why he say, תיקו בחודש שופר? Why he doesn't say
So who says that? Who says that that has to do with who? So Bachodesh is in reference to the Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is the time that we actually blow the shofar. It's Rosh Chodesh. It's Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Right? People don't realize this is Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. As a matter of fact, in the time of the temple, they had to bring two sacrifices. They bought one sacrifice because it was Rosh Chodesh, a second sacrifice because it was Rosh Hashanah. Right? Yes. Any other questions? Huh? You're trying to dig it up. All right. Any other questions over here? We have somebody wants to. No, we should have mentioned this person. No spammers over here. Thank you for spamming. Go away. Anybody else wants to ask questions? Please type it in. Yes, Mayor.
Tell all of my cousins so far is up there like reading the Torah while they're fighting right now.
Right. So yes, there's 100%. There's a lot of army soldiers out there, and these people are serving God out there in the forest. And by the way, these soldiers are extremely brave. Not only are they fighting enemies, but they're living the rough. These people have been living in tents in the middle of nowhere by themselves. We have visited them in the past. Maybe we should start visiting them again more. We used to visit a soldier every Friday. We used to go out. Maybe we need to do it again.
You should start doing it.
We should start doing it again.
I'll talk to Benjamin.
Talk to Benjamin. We'll organize it. All right. Any other questions? Next level class. Can I know how to? We'll give you another 5-10 seconds. If not, we're going to shut the feed. But if we have any questions come through, we will deal with them. All right. Anyone else? Today's Sunday. Sunday we always struggle Sunday with getting people to give. Maybe they just woke up from a long weekend. They don't have.
Yeah, could be.
Bit tired.
We're on 26B, right?
Yeah. What's that?
We're on
What's the right answer?
tired.
What, you stayed up so late last night?
Again, why
Why?
in the pasuk is talk about Kivan Yosef and the Shofar.